Anomaly. I am an anomaly.
Anomaly.
I am an anomaly. I am an anomaly. Anomaly.
An anomaly.
Anomaly. Something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. An oddity, peculiarity, irregularity, inconsistency, incongruity, a rarity.
Hello and welcome to the Anomaly Podcast. My name is Angela, and I feel like I've been in the upside down, and I am an anomaly.
Hi, I'm Jen. I mind-tricked my son into loving Star Trek TNG, and I am an anomaly. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. That's an amazing thing. I wish I could do that.
His best friend in the whole world is a geekling just like him. So I just told Aaron, well, Alistair likes Star Trek TNG. and so Aaron's like, I want to watch Star Trek now, Mommy. Anyway, it wasn't fair of me to say.
The horrible part
Alistair
is that
really loves it.
I'm pretty sure that Russell would love Star Trek because it's totally up his alley, but I accidentally showed him Borg and he got really freaked out. And he's like, but I've shown him a couple of other episodes that he's a little cooler with. And he basically just says, as long as it's not Borg, I'll watch it. And I was like, okay. So that's what we've been doing.
We just watched Data's Day today.
Oh, I love that episode.
Yeah. Well, today's episode is all about Netflix original television shows.
Indeed.
There's so many that are good, Angela.
There are. It's very, very cool. Some of the stuff we've each come to separately.
There's a lot more than just Stranger Things, which happens to be great, and we love it.
It is great.
I know you guys have cable and
we do.
I just have Netflix. Like, I am a cord cutter. I don't have television. I don't have cable.
We have cable mainly because we like to watch Spurs games. That's our thing. And then we like to every once in a while have the news. But usually we watch Netflix, though. We don't watch regular TV very often.
I had the CBS app, but I temporarily unsubscribed.
You did?
Because I have no interest in the other things that are on, and Star Trek's over, so I'll just resubscribe when it comes back on. It's going to be a while from what I understand.
It's going to be a while, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Netflix. So
yeah. Angela, would you like to go first? I know we have a couple of the same ones that we really, really like.
We do. And did we have to keep this to nerdy things? Or
no,
were we allowed
because
to talk
we're anomalies and we like a little bit of nerd and a little bit of muggle.
One of the things I've been watching lately is an older-ish Netflix series with Jerry Seinfeld called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. That's on my list for, I think it was on TV for a little while, but I think for the most part it's been on Netflix exclusively. Have you watched it?
I've never heard of that before.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And it's just really, you would like it because you're a car person, right?
And I love Jerry Seinfeld.
So, and Seinfeld. So like, this is the funny thing is like literally exactly what it says it is. It's about 10 or 15 minutes. It's not even like a whole hour or half hour. It's about a 10 or 15 minute show. He has somebody on. For instance, let's say he picks up Ricky Gervais, right? Mm-hmm. He'll have like a British silly car. He'll find a car that to him like matches the person. And then that's what then he takes them out for coffee or breakfast or something, and then they talk and walk around and drive in the car. There's only been a couple that have been sort of uncomfortable. Most of them are really funny. And I know that you're a fan of Seinfeld as well. I love it when some of the younger comedians like make him laugh. I find that like he just like giggles and tears start streaming down his eyes because of something somebody else said. And that makes me laugh because of course he's usually the one. And it's such a good like, on Reddit, they call it like eye bleach or whatever. Like sometimes you just get into these like super dramas, you know, and everything's so serious. Or even some of the comedies are a little too, you know, intellectual. And this is just candy. It's just fun and it's easy to listen to or not listen to. You can have it kind of on in the background. And like I said, the cars, they'll go from everything from like a Pinto, like he'll like jokingly bring a Pinto, or like the Sarah Jessica Parker, evidently she bought for herself one of those old station wagons with like the seat in the back. She bought like a refurbished one for some reason because, you have a lot of money and you can do whatever you want. You buy the car you had when your mom, when you were little. And he was like, under protest, drove this car around with her. And it was so funny. He was complaining about it the whole time. And she was so excited about it. And she was like, smell that gasoline. It smells like gasoline. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. Anyway, so it's stuff like that. It's just kind of silly and fun. They also have like Ferraris, Corvettes, just very, very cool cars where like they only made 200 of them in 1966. And of course he, was able to find them. And so anyway, I mean, that was like way too long to talk about this silly show, but that's a good one. And then I know we both have been watching Travelers, I think it's called.
I love that show, yes.
Well, I watched it and I was like one episode away from the end of season 1 and my job situation kind of changed. So I haven't been able to, because I haven't been watching it with anybody and it's a little too much for my son to be up.
I don't watch with Aaron.
And so that leaves me very little time. I used to have a little more time to watch that kind of stuff by myself, but I don't really that much anymore. And so it's so good. Do you want to explain it since I already went?
I mean, I was also a fan of a TV series that ended really quickly called Continuum. And it's these people from the future traveling back in time. And it's the same premise in Travelers. Except ish. But in Continuum, it's kind of like a utopian society but it's controlled by corporate people. And in Travelers, it's a dystopian society. They're trying to save their world by traveling back to the past to change things that occurred that ruined their future. And they have super strict protocols. They have to just interact with the people that are also traveling, that they're traveling with, but also other travelers that are going there on the same mission. And then they end up meeting travelers that are terrorists that are trying to sabotage the mission. And it's just so interesting.
Well, the other thing is that it's a type of time travel that I hadn't. Yeah. It's kind of like Quantum Leap time travel, but it's, it's more directive. So basically they time travel into people that are about to die.
Yes.
And they basically take over their bodies and then their life. So that's like something that had not occurred to me science fiction wise as a way to time travel. That's pretty crazy.
And some of them have to deal with some
horrible issues. Yeah.
Handicaps. One of the best one was a mentally handicapped woman that a medical doctor jumped into. And so she has to deal with the thing that caused her
handicap. Yeah.
And also, try to not be obvious that she's all of a sudden a genius,
Right.
It has Eric McCormick in it from Will and Grace, which was cool to see him in something so different.
And so serious.
So serious, not a comedy, and he's a great actor.
There was a show on TBS he was on, or TNT for a while, that I really liked where he played kind of a genius crime solver. I love genius crime solver shows.
Yeah.
But the other thing I like about, and again, I haven't done season 2 yet, but I really like this idea that halfway through the season, things start changing.
The timeline
so
gets
it's like
warped.
The timeline starts getting warped, but they only have orders from before that.
Yes.
And so then things really start interesting.
They have specialists who know history, like they've memorized history, and so they make their money to fund their missions through gambling and things like that. They know what horses are going to win, what games, whatever. But because the history gets changed, everything's screwed up.
And so it starts messing up.
I don't want to mess up, the show for anybody, but that's as far as we'll probably go in describing
but I just
the problems.
To explain that it's a little more than just like a time travel mystery. It's like really interesting and it's very intricate.
And it's also very cool, some of the problems that they're dealing with, like family situations too, that they deal with. It's real interesting character development.
Yeah, I like some of the little things that are in there, kind of like how one of the oldest guys jumps into a teenager. And the teenager was kind of a jerk face. He's dealing with how people treat him. And dealing with his parents and like that stuff.
And he's like totally zen.
He's like totally zen.
The Yoda of the group.
Yeah. But he's like in this like 18-year-old kid's body. And I think the actor they got to play him was so good. He plays at both of those sides so well.
Yeah, and there's a couple of characters I've noticed. They're coming from Battlestar Galactica. And,
oh, yes, I have seen that.
And Continuum. There are actors who were in Continuum that are in Travelers too, which is kind of crazy.
Oh,
it's like
cool.
tricking my mind, throwing me off.
Yeah.
Like, I'll stop because I'll ruin it. But that's a great show. Totally recommend it. I'm going to throw out a few that I'm not going to go into great detail on because I know there are some that we really like that we want to talk more about later.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Well, I had another one that was like not nerdy, but you can go ahead.
There's a television show called The Last Kingdom.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
Was really good. It's about a Viking. He's kind of a Viking mercenary. And it's really interesting. It's very good, but it's not like historically accurate. Like I would say Vikings is closer to historical accuracy than The Last Kingdom is. Last Kingdom kind of reminds me more of costume style, a little more like Xena-ish in a way, but it's super entertaining and I think it did really well and they're going to put out another show, but it's just, another season. It's just taking a little while, but that one's really entertaining. And then there were a couple of others. They started out as television series in other countries and were canceled and Netflix picked them up. So the Frankenstein Chronicles, which is Sean Bean's baby. He's the star of that show. And oh my gosh, it's so good, Angela. It was started in the UK. Netflix picked it up. And now I think they're going to do, what did I see? I saw that they have another season coming, season 3. It's a twist on Frankenstein. It's not literal, but there's a lot of homages. So he's a river police officer in London during the 1820s, and he's investigating these bodies that are washing up on shore. They're bunches of body parts put together to make children. And so he has to investigate what's going on there and ends up getting wrapped up in a completely mind-blowing way. I wasn't even expecting it. Beware. It's graphic. I mean, body parts. Just remember that.
Yeah.
That one's really good. And then really fast, Anne with an E.
Why does that sound familiar? Is that
Anne of Green Gables?
Oh, Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah, it's based on
Anne of Green Gables. Oh my gosh, it's so hard for me not to have Megan follows. I mean,
it is so well done.
I just grew up
actress
watching...
is wonderful.
Okay.
The actress is wonderful. You will fall in love with her.
Okay.
She's so talented. Season 2 is coming out soon. I'll post the link to the news article related to when that's coming out.
Okay.
But even Aaron loves watching it. We binge watched it in like a week. It was wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
well,
so
I trust you. Oh, the other Muggle one from a few months ago that I watched was American Vandal. It is freaking hilarious. It is a play off of like those like true crime shows, kind of like Serial. It's in video documentary form. It's a mockumentary and it follows this high school where some kid, nobody knows who exactly, spray paints penises all over the teacher's cars in the teacher parking lot. And the whole show is about who did this act of vandalism, right? And so it's a very silly premise, but the way that they recreate the style and the rhythm of, those true crime documentaries is amazing. And even though it's total fiction and it's so ridiculous, it's riveting. Like you want to know who did it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, did you listen to Serial?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so it has that kind of rhythm to it where it's like, well, who did this and why did they do it? And then it's like, because the kids that are actually doing, quote unquote, doing the documentary are like these 2 kids from the AV club, that just have created a project for themselves, right? And so they're interviewing the guy that everybody thinks did it, and then his girlfriend, and then there's like, then they start looking at other people. It's like so funny. It's so funny the way that they do the whole thing. And then it's like a super meta show. And so if it's silly, but it's also just, it shines a light kind of on how we view these things and the true crime phenomenon and all that stuff. So anyway, it's really well done if you like that kind of thing.
And what's the name of it?
It's called American Vandal.
Okay.
I would honestly just watch like the trailer, the first episode, because it's fun. It's very fun, especially if you're the kind of person who likes to watch like me who likes to watch like Forensic Files and stuff like that.
I'll do the Muggle one first that I really like. It's called The World's Most Extraordinary Homes. And
oh my gosh, I have watched that.
I love that show.
It's so good.
Who's the lady? She's like a famous actress in England.
I think she was like an actress. I don't know.
Yeah, she is hilarious. I keep telling Dave, I was like, I could totally be her friend.
The only thing is that like I can't watch that like when I'm trying to go to sleep because there's several shows that I watch like as I'm going to sleep and I can't because she's too like
yeah.
She makes like these adorable, hilarious, like scary noises and I'm like, oh wait, what is that? But that is a cool show. I've totally seen it.
Yeah, they travel the world visiting the most unusual houses. And I think David and I have decided that New Zealand has the best houses.
The airplane one is so crazy cool. I mean, that is
the airplane wing.
Yeah. I mean, how much money do you have to do something like that?
Right?
But I don't think about that.
There's a house in Arizona too that we like, but we hated the fact that you have to go inside each room. You have to go out. We live in Texas. It's freaking hot here. There's no way I would want to go into the desert to go into the next room.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, that seems like a little too much more than it's worth, for sure. Oh,
but it was beautiful.
Just thought of my other Muggle one that I'm about to watch the 3rd season of. It's called Love. Have you heard of it? Nuh-uh. It's a Judd Apatow show, and it's literally just... It's very adult content, but not violence. It's sex. And these two kind of dysfunctional people in Hollywood, not like movie stars or anything like that, just two dysfunctional people getting out of a relationship. It's just sort of a few days in their life. It's very well written and it's very like modern and interesting. And these two kind of people who are just not necessarily the best people. They're not terrible. They're just not... It's interesting because it's just the characters are very well made.
Is it a drama or a documentary style?
No. It's a drama. It's fictional. It's a narrative. Okay. It's a narrative fiction. It's like it's basically a comedy, but it's sort of like it's kind of a comedy. What can I compare it to? I don't know.
A dramedy?
It is a dramedy, but I like the writing because the characters are interesting and deep and confusing and not perfect. Like you like them, but you also are kind of judging them because you're like, why do you keep making a stupid decision? But it's really interesting because you kind of love them even though they're flawed, like they're well written. I like movies or I like shows that kind of remind me of theater, I guess. And there's something theatrical about like it's just people in a room talking. And that sounds so boring. There's no car chases or time travel. It's just an interesting story about life. Anyway,
yeah.
So it's just called Love. And the actress, I've seen her in more and more things now. Her name's, if you saw it, you would like recognize a couple of the people in it just from background kind of characters, like the best friend's friend in movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. But really, I don't know. It's just a really well written show and it's been very interesting to me. And the 3rd season like just came out and I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But it is very like adult, lots of cursing and HBO style sexual stuff. So not quite Game of Thrones, but just they don't really care if you see nipple kind of thing. So I'm just telling people. So it's not like I'm recommending that you watch it with your 12-year-old.
No.
So that's my point. Anyway. All right.
I have another Muggle one too. The Crown.
Ooh, Jim's been watching that.
I am so obsessed with that show. I'm now self-employed and I was like so addicted to this show. I was falling behind on work. On my lunch breaks, I'd watch one and then I'd be like, okay, now I'm going to do crunches now. And I'd be turning out the next episode.
So at least you're
stretching out my crunches for the whole episode.
That's funny.
Yeah. I like historical dramas and I did the same thing with Downton Abbey. And this is just well written and I never really had too much of an interest in the royals at all. Like, in the United States, some people follow them like they're groupies or something and they gotta know the latest gossip and they buy the tabloids to learn which prince is marrying which non-royal and that the queen hates. I couldn't care less. I'm sorry. But this television show makes me very sympathetic to the queen and I really respect her now. I think she's awesome. She's been through a lot. She's a very tough lady. So The Crown, it's really great. One of the nerdy shows that I forgot to mention, it's not nerdy, it's a sci-fi, it's fantasy. It's called Glitch.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a really interesting show. It's a Netflix original, but I believe it started in Australia first. It was on one of their networks over there. And I don't know if you guys will have to write in and tell us, was it canceled in Australia and that's why Netflix picked it up? I'm not sure. I don't remember reading what happened with that. But anyway, it's succeeding on Netflix, and a group of people from different time periods are raised from the dead. They just mysteriously come back to life, dig out of the ground like zombies, and they're completely normal, except completely naked and covered in mud. And yeah, it's really interesting. And they can't leave a certain area. Like, they can't leave the town that they were buried in. If they cross the line, they start to degenerate. So, and the line is starting to shrink. So we are not really sure what's going on there. And there was a cliffhanger in the second season, I think. I think it's 2 seasons so far.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm anticipating the next season of that show because I want to know what's going on.
Very cool.
So, are you watching Jessica Jones?
I couldn't finish the first season because I started having nightmares. And so
it's hard to watch.
I hadn't started again.
Uh-oh, you dropped out. Angela? Oh, crap. I don't remember where we were.
I don't either. Should we explain?
Yes, we should.
To you, it was about 3 seconds ago, but to us, it's been a week because my internet decided to just go out while we were recording, and we couldn't finish the show last week. And so now here we are.
A week later, trying to remember where we left off.
We've traveled through time after, and it was kind of a hard week too, just random stuff. If I told you the story, you would laugh at me because it sounds ridiculous. Have you ever had weeks like that, people?
Yes.
Where like if I told you, like it doesn't really sound that big of a deal, but it totally was. Or even at the moment, especially, it feels like more of a big deal. So anyway, just so you know, we're people and that happens sometimes. So here we are, and we're very happy, but we're very tired. So please bear with us. Okay.
We were touching on Jessica Jones. I am all caught up.
I watched the first half of the first season, and it's so good, but it gave me nightmares, which I know I've talked about on this show. And so I just couldn't continue watching it. And I hear the second season does not have the things in it that triggered my nightmares, so maybe it won't be as bad. Please tell us. You don't have to give spoilers, but how is it?
Jessica Jones is a weird show for me because I'm not a rough around the edges type of gal, but I love her as a character, and she says everything I want to say myself because inside I have a super sarcastic
How rude
person inside of me that I keep back like Vulcans do. And so I just kind of live vicariously through her. But I enjoyed the first season, and you're right, it is nightmare material. Take all your power kind of thing.
Yeah, I've read some really good kind of op-eds about it, opinion pieces where they're talking about how it's basically abuse. I mean, she's an abuse survivor. They've applauded the show for realistically portraying the effects of abuse, which I think is so interesting, but it's also very hard to watch.
It affects her on so many levels.
And I do like that she's sort of a superhero.
She's a reluctant. What do you call that?
Well, and not just
anti-hero.
But yeah, she's very much an anti-hero. But also I like how she even describes, it's coming back to me, it's been a while since I've watched it, but how it's Superman can kind of leap tall buildings and fly and all this. And it's she can kind of jump almost over the building. She's very strong, but there's limits to her power, and she's sort of meh about it. I don't know. I just think that it's so... I think that it's a good example, somebody said, about what kind of a normal person would be like in that universe.
Yes.
I like that. And I like that actress too. She's been in some other stuff. She was on Gilmore Girls for a while. And she usually, I've seen her play different types of characters, but she usually plays more silly characters, and I still love her. I think she just has a neat energy, and so seeing her play something like this is very opposite from a lot of the characters I've seen her play, and so it's kind of cool.
I like her relationship with her sister too, her adopted sister, and just she's her own train wreck.
Yeah.
And this season is a lot about, she has some more issues come up that Jessica has to help her through.
Yeah.
It's a really good season. And at the end of it, she's got a whole new set of problems to deal with.
Of course.
Mental issues and stuff. So,
yeah.
But I think you would be more able to tolerate the second season than you are the first season.
That's fair.
Yeah. So give it a try. And Luke Cage was in the first season, but I haven't yet tried any other Marvel show that's a Netflix original yet. The Green Fists of Fury ninja guy doesn't interest me.
Iron Fist?
Iron Fist.
Daredevil's really good. Jim loved that. Daredevil,
I did watch
I think you would like
the first
Daredevil.
few episodes of Daredevil, but it wasn't something like, it's kind of like Jessica Jones. You can't really watch it with kids. It's too much it's too violent.
I'm almost not old enough to watch it.
Yeah. Jessica Jones is like that too. There are several scenes it's like, okay, didn't need to see that.
Well, it's not even the violence in Jessica Jones.
Exactly.
It's very racy. It's very sexy.
It's on par
and it's
with
not
some
sweet.
things on Outlander. Yeah, it's not. She's got. Sometimes she acts like a dude. That's the way some dudes would handle things, I think.
Yeah, I can see. She does have kind of an interesting energy. Anyway, and like I said, I think I've watched a little bit of Daredevil. I think you would like it, honestly.
I do. I watched, I just never went back to it after I started watching Jessica Jones. I never did go back to Daredevil, but I will now because I'm running out of new shows that I really love. So, but one of the ones I was going to tell you about.
Oh, Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs.
What is he in?
He's in the OA.
Ooh.
And you have to watch it.
I need to watch that.
I have to admit that the first episode or two of this show was really slow. And I just wanted to know what the frack was going on because I was so lost. But it picks up pace and then you got to hold on to something because it's really hard to watch.
Okay.
It's very... Did you ever watch 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams?
Yes. That's a good movie.
It's kind of like that.
But it is hard to watch,
like experiments happening and stuff. And it's about this girl named Prairie Johnson, who was an adopted girl who was kidnapped and all of a sudden turns up 7 years later. And the woman who plays her mom, her adopted mom, is the Borg Queen.
Oh, Alice Creed.
Yes.
Creed.
She's so good. I almost didn't even recognize. You know how
I feel like I know really this. Like I've seen. Yeah. I don't know. I know that I haven't watched it, but I feel like... Yeah, it sounds familiar to me.
You've probably heard about it because it did really well on Netflix. And I know they're working on the second season right now.
Cool.
But anyway, so she turns back up and has abilities. So she was blind when she disappeared. Now she can see. Ooh. And she's also a little crazy town. And and she's able to connect with people who are cast out, bottom of the barrel type people who no one wants to give a chance to anymore, like bullies and drug addicts. And she kind of like becomes their guru. She's telling them the story. So you're getting to relive her experience through the stories she's telling to her followers.
That's interesting.
Which is really interesting. If you could get through like the first few seasons, and there are some really graphic scenes, so like sex and violence. So not again for young ones probably to watch.
Okay.
So anyway, that's a good one. Frontier is another one.
Oh yes,
which is kind of like
Jason
a Muggle episode, but it has Jason Momoa in it, and he plays Declan Harp,
and
who's part Irish and part Native American.
You know what the show reminds me of?
Canada. Huh?
It reminds me of Dr. Quinn, medicine woman on steroids of some sort.
It is a very rough version of Dr. Quinn. Only he's like a fur trader and oh my goodness.
And he does not take crap from nobody.
It's another one of those shows that can get kind of graphic.
And it's also kind of, I don't know, it's interesting because I know that there's these realistic portrayals of how women were so vulnerable during that time.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to watch. Like, I realize, I know they're getting raped all the time, and that's probably a reality, but I don't need to see it.
Right.
All the time. Anyway.
The thing for me, the reason we've always talked about books that we don't like because there are too many rape scenes, but we don't really talk about why we don't like it. I think I'm
overly empathetic.
Yes, empathetic. So when I'm watching,
I will freely admit that.
It's painful on many levels to watch someone go through that. For me to watch that, and then to see it in a bunch of shows, it's like too much. Yes.
And even to see like the thread of it is hard for me. There's that episode of Firefly that I can't watch just because
with Kaylee,
what's his face, like threatens Kaylee, and like that's it. He doesn't even do anything to her. It's still like too much. Like I can't watch that episode. I'll fast forward through that part just so I can watch the end. I know it's just, I realize it's a reality of life, and especially in those times or whatever, but it's so hard to watch. Anyway.
But he's really good in that.
He's so good.
He's an outlaw, and he's kind of scary.
Yeah, he is.
He's kind of scary dude.
I mean, he's turned into this kid, you know? You just gotta...
You wouldn't want to mess with him. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, if you're built like that and you look like him, like, you might as well... You're going to play the scary guy.
Yeah. Or Aquaman.
I mean...
Just a cooler version of Aquaman.
Yes. The coolest I don't think there is any version that could top that.
No, definitely not.
I mean, hey, it's a different direction. Might as well. If you're going to do it, go all the way anyway. So...
we'll have to talk about
yeah, but it is later. It is a good show.
The only thing I have to say is I get kind of tired of every single show we watch nowadays has to have a political message. And I'm okay with those because they've been injected in Star Trek and other shows, science fiction for a long time. But I guess at this time it's like it's being overdone. And also, everything has to have something in it that's related to what's going on in the culture today. And it's like, I'm inundated with it every day as it is in reality. And I'm tired of it.
But that's what fiction does.
Yes, but at this point, I watch fiction to escape reality, and I don't want to have it in my face again. You know what I mean?
I know. I understand.
Like, I want to see something that,
I know.
I think that's why I like Anne with an E.
And that's kind of like parallel to my observation is that everything is a gritty retelling. Yes. A gritty retelling of Pac-Man, a gritty retelling of the Care Bears. You know, it's like everything is a gritty retelling. The Care Bears
has some pretty dark stuff.
Dude, the Care Bears movie where they're in the carnival gave me so many nightmares as a child. Oh my gosh, that was so scary.
There was some serious Necronomicon kind of stuff going on in some of those movies.
Serious. And I looked it up because I was having like flashbacks not too long ago, like a couple of months ago. And I haven't been able to find the actual movie, but I found some screenshots and stuff and like a French version just so that I could rack my memory. And man, Jen,
I know.
It is crazy how scary it was. And I'm like, I watched that when I was younger than Russell. And I was like, doo-doo-doo. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Casey and I were talking recently about cartoons from the 80s and how some of them like went off the rails when it came to like weirdness. And that was one of the ones she talked about. Ooh. And we also talked about The Last Unicorn. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
there were some of those.
Or Legend. Do you remember Legend?
Yeah.
Oh, Stephanie loves that movie.
I know.
That's like
she
the
likes
Stephanie
The Last
movie.
Unicorn too.
But those are Stephanie movies.
I know. It's like
those are. Like
I don't
totally
know if anyone remembers
in a good way.
The Last Unicorn. I watched with Aaron when he was about 4 years old because I was like nostalgic. You know, I wanted to go back and watch it, and I forgot about the buzzard with 3 breasts. And it's like, what the hell were these people smoking?
Also, though, Legend has Tim Curry as Darkness / the Devil, which is great, and a very young pre-Scientology Tom Cruise. He's cute in it, and some really fun costuming. So it's not all bad. They're fun. And they weren't any bad. It was just, something about the 80s and the weird, I don't know.
Something.
But still,
too much Coke or something.
To my point, though, that you and I were talking about, like the political messages and the gritty retelling of everything is just kind of overdone. And it's really, I really like the idea. And I think that's why when we first started talking about this last week, I started with that Seinfeld show because it's light, it's just a couple of funny people having coffee. Like it's very, and that kind of stuff I feel like is necessary. I've heard the show Glow is really good. Have you seen that? Mm-mm. it's about to have a second season on Netflix, and it has the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. And that was real in the 80s. And it's like a backstage telling of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. And it's really cool looking. I have not seen it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Huh. And you hadn't seen it at all?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, look it up. I mean, I would definitely watch it and talk about it with you, because it's not nerdy at all, but it's very 80s, speaking of the 80s. And the outfits are very much Troy and Crusher in the workout room kind of outfits. It's pretty amazing.
We have to do that one day.
Yeah, we do.
That's one of our cosplay bucket list items.
It really is.
Troy and Crusher in the spandex
that it can be,
aerobics
the better.
Gear.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I don't think I could wear it all day. Just
no, but for a couple
hour.
of a photo op kind of thing. But I would totally do it. We need to get you a red wig.
Yes,
because you have to be Crusher. Oh man, that's awesome.
Well. Okay. Lost in Space.
Yes.
So many people have been talking about it on
I know
social media, and I think I haven't seen anyone who says they don't like it. It's awesome, and they're hooked, and
I haven't either. Well,
I don't think it's a gritty retelling.
No,
I mean, it kind of explains why the Robinsons were in space to begin with. I mean, I used to watch it when it was on reruns on Sci-Fi back when I was in college.
I remember that.
And I think I started with the first episode, but I don't remember them explaining, what happened and why they were in space.
Yeah, I think I watched it, on reruns and stuff, but I don't really remember that I saw anything chronologically where I really had a grasp of what was going on. I just remember kind of the adventures that they would get into and stuff. That's all I remember.
And I really love the casting.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. The older sister is
she's great.
Amazing.
Both of them are.
Well, both of the older sisters, but the one, because we've watched the first episode, the older sister that's not the doctor, because one of them's kind of a doctor, has medical training.
Well, that is the older sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, but there's two older sisters, and one of them is more like brain
middle
smart.
Sister.
The middle sister. Okay, sorry.
The bookworm.
Yes, the bookworm. I'm talking about they're both older than the little boy, though. Okay. Anyway. I love her personality so much. She's the most
hilarious.
real character I have seen portrayed in a sci-fi, in sci-fi in a very, very long time. Watching Little Boy is so hard. Because he reminds me of Russell so much.
He's very sweet, though.
And he's just those big eyes, and
he's adorable.
I think anybody who has a little boy or a little child would also believe. So even though he doesn't really look like Russell, it's just I think having a child around that age is just very, oh my gosh, what would I do? In those situations.
The thing I like about the little boy and the middle sister, the redhead, is that you're right that they are realistic in that, especially for sci-fi, because usually we're used to science fiction kids always being smarter than every kid, in reality.
Yeah.
And these kids they're
normal.
They're normal smart. They've just been trying to do other things. And the boy has self-confidence issues. And the girl is just, a middle child, constantly doing middle child things to get attention and to be the fart who picks on her older sister and hits on the boys and things like that. And she's a little bit of a rebel. I love her.
Also, it's interesting. I haven't decided if I like it yet or not, as far as, not that I don't like the show, but obviously I do. The storytelling style is a little hard to get used to at first, where they're doing flashbacks. So does that continue?
They're doing a little bit of flashbacks, not as many as in the beginning.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's good because it's giving some backstory, obviously. Yeah,
it kind of pops you into the middle of it. So
right, the way that it does it is there's something going on, and then all of a sudden it's what's going on?
How did they get in this situation?
Where are they?
Yeah.
They're in a house. So what?
Kind of like Star Trek Discovery,
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think that eventually when we finish it, we'll do an episode on a separate episode on Lost in Space. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Are you watching it with Aaron?
I am. He loves it. That's the other thing. I'm kind of sad that Star Trek Discovery is so dark that I can't watch it with him because he's gotten to the point where he loves Star Trek. We just watched Wrath of Khan, which kind of bugged him a little bit with the
I was 7 when I watched it.
Yeah, I knew I was young too when I first saw it, and that part bothered me too.
Oh, yes.
But he did enjoy it. So, I'm sad that new Star Trek isn't something we can share yet. But Lost in Space is something that he can watch, and there is some overtones that are a little darker, but nowhere near anything he can't handle. Like the mom and dad are having issues, and but it's nothing like horrible.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't really. Yeah, I feel like it's handled where a kid could definitely watch it. And when I saw what a big part the little boy, because the little boy was such a huge part of the original, and that I knew he would be so important. I figured he would be pretty important in this from the trailers and stuff. I really wanted Russell to watch it with me. And he gets so nervous when things are going awry. And in the very first episode, which is the only one we watched, things go pretty awry for our heroes.
Yes, definitely.
And I forced him to sit and watch with me and see it through. And he was like, I'm so glad that I watched it. And I'm like, good. So now we just have to have time to sit and watch the rest of the episodes together because I want to do it together.
Aaron was very concerned and had to promise him that no one was going to die because he was so worried for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, don't worry. Believe me, no, they're not going to kill off any of the people in the the original crew, I guess. But Parker Posey is in it, and she's playing Dr. Smith, and oh my gosh. She is rocking that role, and we hate her. We hate the character.
Well, you're supposed to.
I know, she's such a horrible well, Dr. Smith in the original series was kind of like one of those twisting the handlebar mustache kind of villains. And, he was that kind of villain. But in this series, Parker Posey is taken into another level of boil your bunny, single white female kind of
That
stalker.
Is awesome. Well, see, I kind of need an over-the-top villain every once in a while.
And she's perfect to play it, too.
Oh, yeah, she's crazy. I love it. I love her. And I was actually kind of sad that, so many people that were on, please look her up and watch some of her movies. She was an indie movie queen from the 90s, and she's so good. She's so good, you guys. And so please go look her up and watch some of her.
You've Got Mail. She was one of the clerks in the bookstore.
She's in Dazed and Confused, which was filmed in Austin, Texas. And she's hilariously horrible in that movie too. She just is great. And she's been in a lot of the Christopher Guest movies, like Best in Show. And some of those kind of mockumentary type. Oh, she's in Waiting for Guffman. Oh, she's so good in that. Please look her up because she's amazing. If you love her in this, please go.
So this is a perfect fit for her.
Oh, yeah.
As far as that goes. I like that Netflix is giving actresses and actors too who deserve roles that they can really shine in.
Totally off the subject, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 today, and I didn't realize that Captain Georgiou is one of the outlaws. It's not Reavers. That's not what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
anyway,
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And she's they're all talking at the end. And I was like, wait a minute. I know her. So that's a random thing from today. Even though I should be catching up on the Marvel movies that I have not seen, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 again, which is not the best use of my time, but whatever.
What Marvel movies have you not seen yet?
I haven't seen Ant-Man.
We just saw that.
Thor Ragnarok. And I haven't seen Spider-Man.
Well, you have a kid. Yeah. Rent it.
Because
it's available for rental.
Well, I know. And we need, and so.
And Spider-Man
we're going to watch it this week.
Excellent. So
I know. It's not through lack of trying.
Well, I know.
It's
I'm just
because
saying,
I have a 3-year-old.
Watch them with Russell. And
Russell wants to go see Avengers. So we want to make sure
we have to see
get all that done.
Aaron liked, I took him to see both of those movies, and he liked them so much. We don't usually buy movies. I've told him the rule for purchasing movies for me is if it's not good enough to watch a second time, it's off the table. We're not buying it. But we bought Spider-Man, we bought Thor Ragnarok because they're just that great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you can watch them over and over again. So good.
Cool. Please tell us what you're watching on Netflix.
Yeah, so many people responded to our Facebook message asking what they're watching. And thank you to everyone who responded there. And they made their own suggestions. So we'd like to hear from you. So give us a call and let us know. You can call us at 432-363-4742. That's our Google voicemail line. And it gives you about, 3 minutes. So if it hangs up on you, just call back and we'll splice the two messages together. No problem.
Indeed.
Or you can email us at girlygeeks@gmail.com. That's girlygeeks with a Z @gmail.com. Or just go to our website at anomalypodcast.com. That's ANOMALY podcast.com, and go to the contact page and find all of our social circles and our email. There's a contact form there, or you can even comment in the show notes for this episode where you'll find links to anything that we reference that deserves a link. Anyway, this was a fun episode, and I think the next one we should do should be on Lost in Space.
We'll do Lost in Space, and maybe we'll do Avengers.
And I'm definitely going to do a standalone on the next book I told everyone about. Can't remember now. Q Squared by Peter David.
I'm sure it's amazing.
It's a book about it's a trippy book, Angela.
Okay.
It has Trelane from the original series. You remember Trelane, who he can just snap his fingers and make people do all this weird stuff. Well, turns out he's a Q. Ooh. And so the book's about him and Q trying to wrangle him in. Q's been assigned to him because he's a child. Remember, his parents showed up at the end of the episode.
Yes, I remember that.
So Q is friends with Trelane's parents, and they've asked Q to teach him a thing or two about being a good little Q, which is hilarious because Q's gotten in trouble for being bad before. Anyway, it's an alternate timeline book, and there's all kinds of romantic stuff going on between Picard and Crusher, which is very, very...
I'm a shipper on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think that there needs to be a discussion about that.
Well, then you should listen to my last episode because that was a shipper book too. It was Death in Winter that I covered. That's a little mini series I'm going to be doing.
Cool. I like it.
We did it. Another one in the can.
We did it. Thank you so much for sticking with us through this weird, disjointed episode that we love.
If you like it, subscribe and share it with your friends. Okay. I'm Jen.
And I'm Angela, and you've been listening to the Anomaly podcast, where female and fandom converge. Woo!
Hey, can you do us a favor? Would you mind rating us in whatever app it is that you're using to listen to Anomaly right now? Whether it's Apple Podcast or Stitcher or even YouTube. And share us with your friends, because we want to grow, and the best way to do that is to reach more people just like you. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode of Anomaly.